All right, thanks, Jim Ross. Jesse Ventura, I am with the new World's Heavyweight Champion, Big Van Vader. And let me start off with you, Harley Race. You had to be shocked, like everyone else, at the power of Sting.
What do you mean shocked? It went just like it was supposed to be. This man is the greatest athlete on the face of God's green earth. And we just showed every little stinger out there that the myth is gone. The myth has been destroyed. This is the king of athletes, the king of wrestling. The man in wrestling today is Big Van Vader.
All right, how about it, Van Vader? Already people talking about the rematch between you and Sting. Will we see a rematch, Van Vader?
To me, the pain game has been taught. The lesson has been learned. And brother, the pain game is over for Big Van Vader. Stands on top of the world. The heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah!
Well, wrestling fans, they talk about history here at the Great American Bash. This one may go down in history as the only heavyweight title match to show up on a Richter scale. Let's go back now to Jim Ross and Jesse Ventura.
Hola amigos, and welcome to the second episode of Dro's 1992 Watch and Rank podcast. I'm Pedro Boyd, aka Dro, aka Texan Spaniard on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, Texan Spaniard Studios on Patreon, and this is my podcast for my wrestling project where I watch matches from the year 1992 in this year of our Lord 2020, and I rank them as I go along. Go back and listen to the first episode if you haven't yet to get the full story behind the inspiration of this project and podcast. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. I want to get in a disclaimer I failed to do before the first episode, but I need to do before all these episodes, so I'll be doing it going forward. The disclaimer is this: the rankings, reviews, and thoughts on these matches are just the opinion of one guy, and are not the gospel truth, so don't take anything I say as me stating a fact. It is all just my opinion, biases, and tastes, etc. A reminder that for matches to make it onto my official 1992 Watch and Rank list, they have to rate at least 3 stars by my standards. Anything below 3 stars can't make my official list, but I will talk about the matches I watched that just failed to make it too. And a reminder of how my star rankings work: 0 to 1 is terrible, poo-poo, caca. 2 to 2 3/4 is alright, okay, fun stuff. 3 stars is a good match. 3.5 stars is really good. 4 stars is a great match. 4.5 stars is fantastic, possibly mind-blowing. 4 3/4 stars is totally mind-blowing and pretty close to perfect, and 5 stars is the very best of the best, the epitome. It doesn't get any better, all-time classic, must-see match. So, with that out of the way, here's the drill. We're going to first go through matches I saw this week that just failed to make my 1992 Watch and Rank list, and then we'll go over the official list, but I'll only give fleshed out thoughts on the new entries and just mention the ones previously reviewed. So, with all that out of the way, let's get to it, amigos. Starting with the matches that just failed to make my official 1992 Watch and Rank list. The Steiner Brothers versus Vader and Mr. Hughes from WCW's Clash of the Champions 18, January 21st, 1992. This is a really fun Hoss tag team match. Scott Steiner is suplexing Hughes and Vader around like nothing and pulling off other cool athletic moments. Vader's a big bad monster. Hughes could move for a guy his size, and man, he could get some air on those bumps. Whew, he could get some air. Super fun match. It never quite got to that other level, so it just missed out for me, but it's a lot of fun. 2.5 stars. Sting and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ravishing Rick Rude and Stunning Steve Austin, the main event from WCW's Clash of Champions 18, January 21st, 1992. Another super fun tag team match with lots of good work put in by everyone involved, including Paulie Dangerously. You know, with all the persona and mythology around Paul Heyman from ECW and his WWE runs to the present day, it is easy to forget that he was at one point in time just an awesome young evil heel manager. He was great as the mastermind of the Dangerous Alliance. Good stuff here. Finish was a bit flat for me. Held it back a bit. Didn't quite make the list for me, but very close. 2 3/4 stars for me. WWF title match. Bret the Hitman Hart defends his newly won, at that point in time, WWE title against Kamala, the Ugandan Giant, from October 28th, 1992. I think this was off a Coliseum home video release, so Smack 'em, Whack 'em, something like that, some kind of goofy title. Fun match. Kamala was always kind of a surprise at times in the ring. You know, he doing comedy bits, then he could just throw really cool kicks and things out of nowhere. Bret is, of course, the excellence of execution and goes out of his way to make everything look good and put things over. There's a bit of Kamala trying to bait Bret into going for a test of strength. And Kamala even goes, you know, to keeping one arm behind his back to reassure the champ he has nothing unsportsmanlike in mind, when we all know, of course, he does. Bret's facial expressions of putting over his wariness of doing this was really well done, and made it seem like a more dramatic moment than maybe it was. Little things like that went a long way, and Bret making even comedy matches like this seem like it was more of a big deal, of a serious deal, because the championship was involved. Anytime the title was involved and Bret was involved, it always became like, you know, he always did little things to make it, you know, give it some gravitas. Anyways, there isn't a ton to this match outside of the comedy bits and Bret, you know, doing his stuff. Fun little match, though. 2 stars. Yet another match from that Smack 'em Whack 'em Coliseum home video. The Undertaker versus Razor Ramon from November 24th, 1992. WWF, of course, in Beaumont, Texas, around my old haunts. Match was mostly Razor putting the stomps to Undertaker, who just kept getting right back up like a horror movie serial killer. No matter what Ramon threw, the Undertaker would just rise up again. Ramon got a hold of the urn. The ref deals with Paul Bearer. Wham! He hits Taker with the urn. Taker's down. He's not moving. This could be it. Paul Bearer, he looks concerned. And then Razor goes for the cover. Only a 2. Dead man walks again. He starts getting in some offense. Razor rolls out of the ring and says, "Forget it," and walks to the back and gives Undertaker the win by countout. Not a whole lot to it, but it was, you know, it was kind of fun, you know. I give it 2 stars. This one's interesting. Fonseca Jr. and Piloto Suicida versus Crazy Boy and Superboy from, I don't even know what this promotion is. It's just some Los Angeles, California indie promotion from January 12th, 1992. I stumbled upon this, was just curious. You know, what was a U.S. indie idea of Lucha Libre back in 1992? You know, it was kind of sloppy, crazy, chaotic, but the crowd was way into everything, irregardless of who was doing it. And everyone seemed to be having a really fun time. Nothing to go out of your way to see. Like, you know, this is totally nothing you need to go track down or whatever. But, you know, it was fun, you know, for what it was. 2 stars. Then let's see. El Hijo del Santo and Villano 3 versus Negro Casas and Pegasus Kid, a.k.a. Chris Benoit, from UWA, January 19th, 1992. Really fun match. Plays off the Santito and Casas feud, plus the Villano and Pegasus feud. Some really good work in this, and they have a heated little match with a lot of energy, and the crowd was just eating this up. Definitely good stuff, just on the short and rushed side a bit, but 2.5 stars. Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and Nikita Koloff versus Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, and Bobby Eaton of the Dangerous Alliance from WCW's Bash at the Beach pay-per-view from June 20th, 1992. It is a shame they had so many variations of the Barry and Dustin versus Dangerous Alliance, because while the matches are all super, they sort of begin to blend together. But this was yet another good match between them. Only thing holding it back was everyone tiptoeing around that dumb no coming off the top rope thing because it'll lead to disqualification. That came with the Bill Watts era. Kind of held things back a bit, but still, super fun match. 2.5 stars. Fabulous Freebirds, Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Garvin versus Hiroshi Hase and Shinya Hashimoto from WCW's Great American Bash pay-per-view, July 12th, 1992. It was alright. Seemed to be a bit of a styles clash going on, but they put on a formula enough match to make it work alright. Not out of this world, but fun enough. 2 stars. Let's see. Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes versus Ravishing Rick Rude and Stunning Steve Austin from WCW's Great American Bash, July 12th, 1992. Again, you pretty much can't go wrong with any variation of Windham and Rhodes versus the Dangerous Alliance. This was the usual good match between both teams. It just was maybe a bit rushed because it was part of the NWA Tag Title Tournament, and understandably, Barry and Dustin had 2 more matches to work that night, so I kind of understand all that. But still, it's fun stuff. 2.5 stars. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Nikita Koloff versus Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Dr. Death Steve Williams from WCW's Great American Bash, July 12th, 1992. Some good work in this match by both teams. It just kind of dragged at stretches. Just didn't quite hit the strides it could have, but still fun. 2.5 stars. And the final match that didn't make the cut, Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes versus Hiroshi Hase and Shinya Hashimoto from WCW's Great American Bash, July 12th, 1992. Really fun match. That pop when Dustin finally made the hot tag after eating so much abuse was great stuff. It was another match with good work from everyone, but it just kind of dragged a bit at times. And then after dragging a bit at times, then they seemed like they had to rush, the finish. They just kind of, we only got so much time left. Let's rush the finish. But it still was a fun match. But for me, just 2.5 stars. So, that does it for matches I saw that didn't make the list. But now on to the official Droz 1992 Watch and Rank list. As stated earlier, only giving full thoughts on the matches that are new to this update of the list. The ones reviewed previously will just be mentioned. So here we go. At number 23, the Steiner Brothers versus Tatsumi Fujinami and Takayuki Iizuka from WCW's Wrestle War, May 17th, 1992. Really fun match that has both spectacular spots and spectacular sloppiness and botches. I think there was some amount of miscommunication involved in this match because some of this was just so sloppy. I wasn't sure it was going to hold together. But some of the botches and sloppiness result in spectacular drama, all its own that was compelling. It is a stiff match. The Steiners kind of chew up Fujinami and poor Iizuka, who has a busted nose and a closed eye for his troubles. Some noteworthy moments. Scott Steiner has Fujinami in his arms and goes for a standing moonsault power slam move. But he botches it and lands on the top of his head. Iizuka immediately runs in and Scott scoops him up and then hits the standing moonsault power slam cleanly. And first off, is this the first instance of a standing moonsault? It might be. I'm not sure. Secondly, how Scott Steiner did not break his neck on that botched one with Fujinami, I just don't know. It was pretty scary looking if you watch it. The way he kind of lands on his head, on top of his head, and the way his neck bends, it's another noteworthy spot. Fujinami has Rick Steiner on his shoulders as if setting up for a doomsday device. Iizuka leaps off the top, but Rick catches Takayuki and then hits a belly-to-belly suplex, super sloppy and scary-looking one, but he hits some variation of it off of Fujinami's shoulders to the canvas. Wow. Pretty crazy stuff. Lots of stiffness, lots of sloppy stiffness, lots of throwing people around. It is good wrestling fun. The sloppiness really should hold it back from making the list, but it's just too much of a spectacle to not make the list in some way. So 3 stars. At number 22, Ultimo Dragon versus Blue Panther from CML, January 31st, 1992. Reviewed in episode 1. So, nothing more than that. Number 21, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and Ron Simmons versus Double A, Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, and Larry Zbyszko from WCW's Clash of the Champion 18, January 21st, 1992. What a fun six-man tag match. Everyone put effort into this. Wyndham's star shone the brightest in many ways, in my opinion, this match. His vendetta against Zbyszko, the way it drove him in this match, just awesome. Dustin and Simmons were both great, too. And, of course, everyone in the Dangerous Alliance were top-notch. 6 guys just having a super heated six-man tag team match, making the crowd lose their shit, then bringing it home. Good stuff. 3 stars. Coming in at number 20, Ric Flair defending the WWF Heavyweight Championship against Bret the Hitman Hart from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, blah, 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 Canada, October 12, 1992, WWF. Everyone knows what match this is. It is the match Bret wins the WWF title for the first time. Program note. Bret Hart is probably my all-time favorite wrestler, so you'd probably think this match would rate higher with me than it does, but time has not been that great to this match. Both Bret and Flair put in some good work in this match, so it isn't like either guy dogged it. There just isn't much like in-ring narrative or story being told here. It just comes off like your average house show match that has a surprise finish of the challenger actually winning the title. It's a good match, but it's not a great one. So 3 stars. Number 19, Lex Luger defending the WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Sting from WCW's Super Brawl 2, reviewed in episode 1. Number 18, Randy Savage versus Jake Roberts from WWF Saturday Night's Main Event, February 8th, 1992, reviewed in episode 1. At number 17, Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes versus Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy in the finals of the NWA World Tag Team Title Tournament from WCW's Great American Bash pay-per-view, July 12th, 1992. Good match. Windham and Dustin had the harder road to the finals, and they're struggling. Like through fatigue and the incredible tag team chemistry, power, and wrestling know-how of Gordy and Williams. Gordy and Williams just grind Dustin and Barry down one at a time, basically, and expertly cut off the ring to prevent the tags as long as they can to squash that last bit of fight out of the Texicans, as Jesse Ventura kept calling them on this pay-per-view. Windham and Rhodes do their darndest to fight back, but they're up against just too much. After everything they've been through on this show, it's just too much on this night, and Gordy and Williams capture the NWA Tag Team titles to go with their newly won WCW World Tag Team titles. Wow. Good match. Fun stuff. 3 stars. Number 16, we got Flying Brian Pillman defending the WCW World Light Heavyweight title against Scotty Flamingo, a.k.a. Raven, from WCW's Bash at the Beach pay-per-view, June 20th, 1992. Good match. Some really good wrestling exchanges in the first third of this match, and Flamingo was great with his heel antics throughout the match. Good stuff. The pace was deliberate and consistent. Maybe they could have kicked it up a bit more in the final third. It would have edged things up a little bit. But I think the pace worked for this match. Pillman's spectacular missed dive where he face planted on the ramp was a heck of a spot. And totally worth setting up the finish is believable. Because like when you see him like dive, Raven moves out of the way, and Pillman just like lands face first on that entrance ramp, you're like, oh, he's dead. You know, he's dead. So you believe that anything, like the simplest thing, should be able to finish Brian Pillman at this point. Only issue with the finish is Flamingo doesn't hit that knee drop clean. And Jim Ross is left trying to cover up for it, like any commentator should do. And aside there, but compare that with the Jim Ross of today on AEW that is openly calling attention to Britt Baker's clotheslines, making zero contact, and Priscilla Kelly, the tampon lady, selling them as if they did. What a difference a decade makes in a man. But, that aside, good match, some good work throughout from both guys. And Flamingo makes history and becomes the new WCW World Light Heavyweight Champion. 3 1/4 stars from me. Coming in at number 15, Bret the Hitman Hart defending the WWF Intercontinental Championship against the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels in the WWF's first ever ladder match. This was from July 21st, 1992, and I remember it being on more than one Coliseum home video back in the day. I imagine most know the story behind this match, but for anyone who may not, Bret Hart had done a ladder match in Stampede Wrestling a long time ago and pitched the match I did to the WWF in 1992, and they tried it with this match, and this is the result. So if any of you have just swallowed and believed the WWE line that Shawn Michaels is the inventor of the ladder match, this just isn't so. Though his ladder match versus Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10 definitely set the standard for it going forward. Anyways, this was a really good and fun match. It isn't the carnage spectacle that ladder matches have become over time. It is two guys having a heated little match and working in spots of trying to climb the ladder, and the other one trying to stop them, and the crowd marking out for it. Sensational Sherry, who was with Shawn Michaels at the time, distracts Bret Hart and leads him away from the ring so Shawn can try to climb up, and then Bret has to sprint. The crowd desperate for him to make it in time to stop Shawn Michaels. Oh, that's such a great spot. I wish someone would actually recycle this spot in the present day in a ladder match. It's a good spot. Good fun match. 3 1/4 stars from me. At number 14, Flying Brian Pillman and Jushin Thunder Liger versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Nikita Koloff in the NWA Tag Team Title Tournament from WCW's Great American Bash, July 12th, 1992. What a match. An adrenaline rush of a match. Fast pace, hot action, hot crowd, great near falls, good drama. This was 10-12 minutes of just action-packed competitive back and forth where it felt like either team could win, and the crowd was hyped for everyone. When Liger hit that moonsault earlier in the match, the way the entire crowd just leaped to their feet with an explosion of a pop. Oh man, that was quite the visual, I have to say. Hot match. A touch sloppy at points, but overall just a fun rush of a match. 3 1/4 stars from me. Number 13, Rick Rude versus Ricky Steamboat for the WCW US title from WCW Super Brawl 2, reviewed in episode 1. Number 12, Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton versus the Steiner Brothers for the tag team titles at WCW Super Brawl 2, reviewed in episode 1. Number 11, Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes versus Larry Zbyszko and Steve Austin from WCW Super Brawl 2, reviewed in episode 1. Super Brawl 2 was quite a show, wasn't it? It's all over the place. At number 10, we're into the top 10 now. At number 10, Flying Brian Pillman defends the WCW World Light Heavyweight Championship against his former tag team partner, the Z-Man, Tom Zink. I laugh anytime I say the Z-Man. The Z-Man! From WCW's Wrestle War, May 17th, 1992. Really good match. They did a good job of this being two former tag team partners who know each other like the back of their hand. Lots of countering and mirroring of each other's moves, and it was just a really action-packed and competitive match that had the crowd losing their shit. The front two rows were jumping out of their seats and freaking out and running up to the guard railing while spazzing out repeatedly as this match went on, because the drama of which the tag team partner was going to be the one to step ahead of the other built. Oh my god, that stuff built up and played out. Oh my god, so good. Some terrific near falls in this. Some I legit bought. Some of these I legit bought, and I saw this match a long time ago, and here we are in 2020, nearly however many years later, and I'm just oh, it's over. But in the end, Pillman gets the win with a jackknife roll-up, countering to avoid a move by the Z-Man. So, really good match. 3.5 stars. Coming in at number 9, Octagon defending the Mexican National Middleweight Championship against Fuerza Guerrera, the father of Juventud Guerrera, from CMLL Arena, Mexico, January 31st, 1992. Oh man, this was really, really good. They took their time. Everyone was playing everything up. They did the slow build-up to escalation in the third fall and had a running story where Octagon seemed to accidentally foul Fuerza in the Segunda Caída. Fuerza does the same thing back to him. The ref allows it because, you know, he let the other one go, so he's going to let this one go. Eye for an eye. But this escalates into a thing at the end, this whole low blow thing. Cien Caras was magnificent as Fuerza's second, adding a lot to this match by his reactions and actions that increased as the third fall got more back and forth and victory could swing either way. Konnan, Octagon second, was maybe not as involved until things go too far in the third fall, and then he's all in on the chaos that erupts and results in this match being a tie, as neither luchador is awarded the win in the deciding third fall due to countout or double disqualification. I was a little unsure what the actual thing was, but it ends in a tie. So Octagon keeps the title. But really enjoy the pace and work put into this match. They took their time, and it paid off. Really, really good match. 3.5 stars. At number 8, Sting defends the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship against Big Van Vader from WCW's Great American Bash, July 12th, 1992. What a match. Really good match. Vader is such a badass monster here. The threat level of his offense is treated with such respect. And Sting puts everything over so much. Vader is basically a kaiju here. Sting, for his part, sells and bumps his butt off and shows true fighting spirit, fighting until the very end, even when it is futile, and the end is nigh. Some of Sting's comebacks got such big pops from the crowd. I was just marking out like a little kid. Really, really good match. I wish it was a little bit longer, but maybe that is a good thing. They gave us a really meaty taste here, so we'd want more matches between them, and we'd get more matches between them too. Really good stuff. Vader becomes the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. 3.5 stars, and the post-match promo, it was used in the opening of this show. It's a lot of fun, that promo. So, number 7. The WCW World Heavyweight Champion Sting versus Cactus Jack in a non-title Falls Count Anywhere match from WCW's Bash at the Beach from June 20th, 1992. Really, really, really good match. Almost a great match. I remember really loving this match back in the day, and to be honest, I was still marking out when I watched it now, like nearly 30 years later? Oh my god. Action-packed, intense, violent, and super fun. Foley takes some crazy bumps throughout this match, and Sting takes his own fair share of risky bumps too in this fast-paced, action-packed brawl with a crowd that is just eating it up and losing their minds over everything. Really, really good match. Just shy of being great. Needed to go just, a bit more and build and pay off, I feel. But, man, what an adrenaline rush of a match. It's another one. It's just like a big jolt of adrenaline. Like, whoa. 3 3/4 stars from me. At number 6, El Signo defends the UWA Light Heavyweight Championship against Tejano. For those Lucha Underground fans, this is Tejano's dad. From UWA's January 12th, 1992 show. Oh my goodness. This was great. This match felt like a real struggle, like it was a true sporting competition, and both men fought with holds, counters, and everything was pretty scientific, like the title matches of old in Mexico. The pace was quicker than the Fuerza Octagon match, but still not super fast at the start, so they had room to escalate in the third fall. There was a moment in the third fall, they seemed to slow everything down to allow both the luchadors and the crowd to kind of catch their breath, and then they bust out the topes, and the crowd just goes wilder. They go even more nuts than before because they had that moment to calm down, and then boom, you hit them with this dynamic stuff, and it's just like at first I thought the finish was maybe kind of flat, but as I thought about it, I realized it was actually a really satisfying finish because they were vying 80-90% of this match with roll-ups, chain wrestling, clean stuff. So a clean roll-up finish really fit with what they were going for, which was a real sport vibe kind of thing they're laying down in this match. Great stuff. I really enjoyed this tremendously. 4 stars from me, and I encourage, anyone who never seen El Signo or Tejano Jr.'s dad, Tejano, to check this out, because it's pretty good stuff. Number 5, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ravishing Rick Rude in a 30-minute Iron Man match from WCW's Bash at the Beach, June 20th, 1992. Oh, what a great match. Talk about 2 guys milking every minute of drama that they could out of everything. Steamboat injures Rude's ribs early, but after surviving the early storm of offense, Rude builds up a bit of a lead, only conceding 1 fall to a disqualification when they had that dumbass Bill Watts thing of the DQ coming from off the top rule. But even that was to injure Steamboat so that Rude could pin him. Steamboat has to fight out from underneath, and he does so, clawing his way through pain and struggle to even up the match to 3 falls apiece. The bit towards the end when Rude is trying to put Steamboat away with the sleeper, the way they milked this for nearly 2 minutes was super compelling. And the pop, when Steamboat makes it up and uses the turnbuckles to push back and use Rude's rib injury against him in a roll-up, because Rude couldn't kick out due to said injured ribs, Such a great moment when Steamboat gets that 4th deciding fall. Oh my God. And then it's followed by this mad scrambling of Rude just throwing everything at the Dragon with less than a minute to go. All Steamboat has to do is survive that final minute, and he does so, and victory is his. I'm not going to say this match didn't maybe drag a little bit at times, because, it did drag a little bit, but I think that worked with what they were going for here, and it's just a great match. 4 stars from me. Coming in at number 4, the Steiner Brothers defending the WCW World Tag Team Championships against Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy from WCW's Bash at the Beach, June 20th, 1992. Wow. Great match. Lots of great wrestling exchanges. Always felt like a big time title fight. Real sports feel. Hard hitting, lots of drama, great pace, great action. This was simply a joy to watch. At some point, it became obvious they were going to the time limit draw, which it was like 30 minutes. And I wish there had been some urgency towards the end of this match in regards to the time, ticking off. That would have, maybe pushed it up a little bit more, but I'm not complaining. How can one complain? It's a great match with lots of great, pro wrestling in it. It's just a good, really, really great match. 4 stars. Number 3, Vader, Big Van Vader, and Bam Bam Bigelow defend the IWGP Tag Team titles versus Hiroshi Hase and Keiji Muto from New Japan Pro Wrestling's May 1st, 1992 show, reviewed in episode 1. At number 2, it's Sting's Squadron versus the Dangerous Alliance in The Match Beyond War Games from Wrestle War, May 17th, 1992. Oh man, great match. If you want intensity, violence, action, blood, drama, then this match is for you. That whole passion play turn to, whatever is awesome. Everyone turns up for this, and they deliver a super main event here. My one criticism is it all wrapped up pretty quickly after all 10 men got in. I would have liked them to see them milk it a bit, milk it a little bit and maybe do some near surrenders or something before the finish. But hey, this is a great match. You are not going to go wrong with this match. It's super entertaining, engaging, awesome. It's good stuff. 4 stars. And finally, still at number 1, after 2 weeks, it's Jushin Thunder Liger versus Flying Brian Pillman from WCW Super Brawl 2, reviewed in episode 1. And yeah, that's it for this episode of Dro's 1992 Watch and Rank. Thank you for listening and tuning in. Next week, we'll have another round. I hope to have some guests lined up in the future, but we'll see how that goes. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Texan Spaniard, and also on YouTube at Texan Spaniard. And on Patreon, it is Texan Spaniard Studios. Don't forget to see the text version of the official list to check out. To check this out, if you want to see the text version, is markoutmania.tumblr.com. You get to see the official list, in text, black and white. Don't have to, think of things. Don't have to be like, oh, what did he say was this? You can just see. You can go and see. Let's see. And tune in every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific for the Markout Mania podcast with my friends James Sornell and Zeus King Dark on my YouTube channel. Feel free to leave comments and feedback on your own thoughts on 1992 matches. And hey, consider doing your own 1992 Watch and Rank. And maybe you can get on this show and we can compare notes and talk about it. Talk it out. Anyways, thanks for listening. Take care and adios.